Things are getting a little awkward between Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans and local media, so he had to stuff him in a locker. We'll also discuss a long-ass baseball game, the Houston Rockets' first win, and Monday Night Football, plus some terrible takes and terrible times being had on a Tuesday. I'm Paul Gallant, and this is the Gallant Says podcast. Hit it!
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people are.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to see.
Grow up, mother. Are you kidding me?
Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Oi! Welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast. It is Tuesday, October 28th, live on YouTube at Paul Gallant, on Twitch at Gallant Says, on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at Gallant Says Pod, on Instagram at Sports Gallant, TikTok at Gallant Says, and on Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. You can join the show Monday through Friday around noon Central Time and occasionally after major Houston sporting events. It's also available after the fact wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify. If you ever want to cut me off mid-thought, best way to watch the show, in my opinion, is on YouTube. If you super chat me, I'll play this and get to your comments right away. But I will eventually get to your comments, which you can also leave the old-fashioned way, GallantSays at gmail.com. Voicemail box, 281-836-3912. You can also leave a text message at that number. As someone who spends far too much time analyzing Houston Texans press conference, I want to give a shout out to Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans, and I want to give a shout out to Houston Texans media for finally making things entertaining. Because generally, DeMeco doesn't say a whole lot of anything. He football-splains things, gives answers that are semi-Brock Osweiler-esque. But yesterday, for the second straight day, you could feel a different energy in the air. So let's watch where it all started yesterday at DeMeco Ryans' Monday press conference. He does these after every single game that takes place on a Sunday. He'll have a press conference the next day. It's usually done at a podium. This is where things started to get awkward with a question from Landry Locker of the Locker Room / SNL Houston Texans podcasts.
What are the challenges for a coach when pushing away outside noise? I know that was a topic yesterday. What are the challenges, and is there a balance between like positive outside noise and negative outside noise?
No, it really doesn't matter. I mean, here you can see it's a lot of negative talk about us. We get it. I hear people try to give it to me all the time. I get it.
He gets it. He should. It's been underwhelming, to say the least, since an awesome rookie season. We've had a lot of expectations for this team, that this time it's different. So he should get it. He should get that there's some criticism and that this is just the way that this city in particular feels about its football team. You're always waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it's very difficult to be impressed when the team's never made it past the second round of the playoffs. More from Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans yesterday.
Right? It's like, but it really doesn't matter, right? I talk about it. Everybody wants to write a hot story, and most of the time it's negative stuff that people want to talk about, right? Nobody wants to talk about the positive stuff that happens. And again, if you feed off of that and you're riding the pendulum of, oh, we're great because we won, oh, we suck because we lost, fight, like, that's our business. I get it. But that's the nature of it. We keep moving forward. Really, it doesn't drive anything. It means nothing, literally nothing, to what we're about. Like, it does nothing to drive our team. We just got to go out and play good football.
Everything he said there I do, for the most part, agree with it. Outside of this part, everyone wants to write a hot story. I don't want to write. But also, I don't think this is necessarily true about all sports media coverage these days. There's a lot of Glazers out there. I'm not talking about Jay Glazers. I mean, there's a lot of people that will call things that they are seeing the best that they've ever been. So there's more of that than there was probably 10 years ago, 5 years ago going on. There are people with brands built on positivity these days. So I don't think it's everybody that's looking at things through a negative lens. But I think some people that cover the Houston Texans were a little annoyed with this commentary, which implied that the coverage that the Texans have got in the DeMeco Ryans era has largely been
negative.
I said that's what people thrive on is the negative stuff. Yeah.
You don't think you've gotten any positive?
I said people thrive on the negative. You guys are good. You guys must be the ones with the negative stuff. We're playing football. You talk about outside noise. I'll say it again. It doesn't matter. Good, bad. It doesn't change how we prepare. It doesn't change our week of preparation. We're going to work. We're going to work our best, the game plan our best, and go out and play good football.
With the smile on his face. You guys good? Owned! Oh, snap, son! Oh, shit! Owned! Yeah, Texans media there, they just gotta sit in that. They gotta sit in that. You just got punked, bitch. I'm talking about it. By the way, DeMeco, to his credit, did actually have some plausible deniability there to say, I'm talking about it in general. People thrive on the negativity. We're not done here. The exchange between Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans and the liberal media.
But for your first couple years and a half, like, you've gotten nothing but positive coverage for the majority of the time. So when you say everybody wants to focus on the negative and not write about the positive, I don't know if that's... How is that accurate when you've been here for a couple of years? You've got a lot of positive coverage.
You guys good?
Damn, they just got punked. Didn't even answer that question. You guys good? So here's how this works. If you're a fan of a sports team that just won a game, even if you have questions about the team going forward, you're rooting for the head coach in that situation against the people who covered the team. You just are. That's how it goes. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. That's what it is. You heard most of that clip. I actually agree with a lot of what he said, other than what I brought up before. DeMeco saying everyone wants to write a hot story. First off, I don't write. I can't. It always turns into a 5,000 word odyssey. Just can't keep things succinct. But I don't agree that that's how everyone operates in sports media these days. But the larger point that he made, none of this matters to what's going on in the locker room, is true. Now, does it matter to DeMeco, perhaps? Should he be a little more reflective? Should he think about these stories that are coming out about how he might say things and do something else? Say one thing, do something completely different? Should he be self-aware enough to look himself in the mirror and say, yeah, I could work on that? Yeah, he should. I think everybody should be more self-aware than they are. I'm at times maybe a little too self-aware, but everybody, I feel like, needs to have the ability to look at themselves in the mirror and say, all right, I'm not perfect. What can I work on? And this is definitely something DeMeco Ryans needs to work on. And I'm not just pointing at comments made by Steven Nelson, who called him the milk dud man. Go look up some comments by Jonathan Grenard talking about the Texans game against the Vikings last season after the game. That's an actual good player who's still in the league. This is a real thing for DeMeco. But when you get a W and you got everyone shitting on you for your awful performance in Monday Night Football, don't pay any attention to it. And when things are going good, don't pay any attention to it either. Don't be Hugh Jackson on that one season of Hard Knocks who was reading about the positive feedback he was getting when they were given HBO, the Browns, a look behind the kimono. So a lot of what DeMeco said there, I agree with some of it. At the same time, I could do with less gaslighting about what's been good. You don't need to tell me things have been good. You don't. You don't. Maybe you're trying to compliment your players by talking to us. I get that. But don't try and act like the past calendar year since their 6-2 start last season. Don't act like everything's been good. You fired your offensive coordinator. You moved on from your offensive line coach. You traded your all-pro left tackle. You gave an entire overhaul to the offensive line. We don't know what the fuck's happening with Joe Mixon. And the offense last season seemed to regress. And I would argue that outside of the game against the Ravens and their banged-up defense, and the game we just saw Sunday against the 49ers' banged-up defense, that C.J. Stroud's taken a step back. This season, is Sunday a sign of things to come? I don't know. So that's the message I have for DeMeco coming out of this. For the media, some advice. What's the win in pointing that out to DeMeco Ryans in the press conference right there? What's the win? Other than you're fucking annoyed that he's constantly talking about the negative and not focusing on the outside noise. Is there a win to pushing back in that setting publicly other than you're sick of this and you wanted to get this off your chest? It is a mini dub. Sometimes it is really satisfying to say something that you've wanted to say for a while. In press conference settings, you generally have to sit there and just take it and be very polite. I had my own experiences with that and some of the back and forths I had back in the day with former Texans head coach Bill O'Brien. I enjoyed it. I loved it. That was an actual entertaining Texans press conference. There have not been many of those. The Nick Caserio ones are boring as shit. He filibusters. And the DeMeco Ryans ones, also generally boring. I'm looking to entertain people while talking about sports, you know? Sometimes I'm informative. Generally, I'm just being a doofus. Goofing around. Don't call me Gallant. I'm Goofus. You know? So just be aware of that when you get into this back and forth. And then once the back and forth is done, do you need to keep talking about it? If you're somebody who engaged in it. I think you let the fan base gauge for themselves when you play this on your show or your podcast or whatever. Play that clip and let people gauge for themselves. They did win on Sunday. It was a win where I wish the offense scored touchdowns, but long sustained drives for an offense that wants to be the death by 1,000 cuts offense, at least based off of what we're hearing from C.J. Stroud, and the defense absolutely destroyed that 49ers team. He wants more positivity coming out of the game. It is hard to win in the NFL. The 49ers, for their part, had been pretty damn scrappy the last couple of weeks before they came to NRG Stadium. The Texans beat that ass. That final score, very misleading. Play the clip and walk away. Let the people who watch this team figure it out on their own. Because there are a lot of people who are skeptical about the direction of this team. But the people that you're trying to convince aren't going to be convinced after you won. So that is all I've really got to say about that. I did say yesterday on the show that I could be the Houston Texans' motivation if they are going to pay, or if they are going to pay attention to all the outside noise. In case you missed that part of yesterday's show, let me play that clip for you here. This is a short from yesterday's Paul Gallant show. I am pulling a Sean Hannity and playing a clip of myself on my show, which is egomania at its finest. But I got to say, I'm very proud of this bit that I did here. Anyway, in case you missed it. If the Texans are looking for motivation, and that motivation isn't from the film that they're watching where they're underachieving, to bounce back after a wretched national TV performance on Monday night, I can be that person.
If you're looking for motivation, I'm right here. I could be the hero that the Texans deserve, but not the one it needs right now. So you can hunt me. You can watch the Gallant Says podcast. You can pay attention to every single thing I say, and then subscribe, rate, and review. If you need this as the motivation for you to win in this league where it's so hard to win, I could be that guy. Call it in. By the way, like this video and subscribe.
I have to reveal my true identity. If they need the liberal media to motivate themselves, go ahead. Truly. If that's what it's going to take, good. I'm glad to be the thing that you're thinking about at all times. And again, just subscribe, rate, and review.
It really doesn't matter.
I can do that if they want for a fee, or at least, boost the podcast numbers if you could. I could do that for them. But I've had a change of heart, and perhaps it's because I'm thinking way too much about the Dark Knight these days. Remember when the Joker has a change of heart? He wants to reveal the identity of Batman, and then all of a sudden he says, you know what? Kill the guy who's about to snitch on Batman. Kill him. Otherwise, a hospital's going to blow up. I've had a change of heart. I'm not threatening anything on the great city of Houston, Texas. I'm just saying I could be the motivational fuel for the Texans, but if they're not paying attention to the outside noise and they want someone to cover the positive, I don't have a job. So I think it's time for me to zag. There's so many in Texans media who seem to be, at the very least, annoyed, if not out on DeMeco Ryans. Just like I jumped on the Dusty Baker bandwagon to annoy the insufferable know-it-all Astros folks online and Astros media members online. Just like I did that, I think I'm going to be the biggest DeMeco Bobo possible. I'm going to be old school media. I'm going to be a bard. You might not know what a bard is. In Celtic cultures, a bard is an oral repository. That's interesting. 2 words back to back. And professional storyteller. A verse maker, a music composer, an oral historian, a genealogist, employed by a patron like a monarch or a chieftain to commemorate one or more of the patron's ancestors and to praise the patron's own activities. Could I not do this for DeMeco Ryans? I think I could. I think that I could be a bard. So bear with me for a moment here as I load some bard music, a bard jam in the background. Okay? Because I've actually written a song to sing the praises of Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans. Everybody, are you ready? I'm going to be a bard for a moment. Fearlessly go DeMeco. We're starting it again. We're starting it again. Who would have thought that I would get dyslexic with the first words of that song? We're doing it again. I wanted to pre-record this before the show because I knew that this would potentially happen. One more time. Fearless leader DeMeco, the greatest coach of all. He cares not about the media, no, not DeMeco. To him, they're just a bunch of virgin dorks with angry thumbs. Not jacked and swole like DeMeco. He is not in the least bit scared of the line getting CJ killed. That's why he used Six Guys Sunday. The media would never. They refuse to talk about the positives from Sunday. Thanks to Supreme Leader DeMeco. Mac Jones lit up and McCaffrey stuffed. Got Callahan fired and Cooper Rush mushed. Nearly beat the Rams and the Bucks. Almost got the Jags and the Hawks. Nearly 7-0. Our DeMeco. We'll do that one more time and have a polished version. But I will be the bard for DeMeco Ryans, okay? I will do it. Can't wait for the Renaissance Festival in a couple of weeks. Oh, boy. So, guys, it is the Gallant Says podcast. Let's read some comments. Munch is funny. My guy Garrett, the web guy, says, I missed your writing. Haha. Well, I don't. I took way too long. More comments here. This time from the TikTok side of things. Jacob Rawson at Houston Sports fan page said, what did he say? You should have tuned in for the beginning part of the episode. But you can check it out on the Gallant Says podcast. Available on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Also on YouTube. Also on Twitch. Also on Instagram. Also on X. But check out the podcast after the fact. If you missed it, you missed it. JDon76 asks, brother, what are we doing? We're singing the praises of DeMeco Ryans. I'm DeMeco Ryans' Bobo Bard, okay? Please toss a coin to your witcher. Did anyone like that? How do we feel about the song? Todd the Show says, I'm getting drunk off mead tonight, confirmed. Ryan Lost in Texas is saying, this is making me want a turkey leg and a flagon of ale. Ryan Lost in Texas says it's downright Geoffrey Chaucer-esque. That's right, the Canterbury Tales, everybody. The Canterbury Tales. I did really enjoy the headline that I have on YouTube for this, where it says DeMeco Ryans owns liberal media. I'm really enjoying this. Definitely could have landed the plane a little bit better with the Rams, Bucks, Jags, and the Hawks part. But when we do the official version that we're going to post on TikTok and on Instagram, oh, fuck, dude. This song's going to be amazing. Amazing. I could be a bard. I'm not the worst singer in the world. By the way, as the Texans' confrontation with the liberal media continues, did anyone see DJ Bieneme talking with Houston Texans ownership earlier this morning? Here is DJ asking Cal and Hannah McNair about DeMeco Ryans.
It was easy. We knew him as a player, and stuff.
They were asking, they were asked about their thoughts when they hired DeMeco.
Him in college and had watched him in his coaching career, and he just stepped into it. And of course, you never know, what's going to happen, and we're just really glad to see where we are now.
I think a big testament to DeMeco is how he's kept the team focused. That is really hard to do when you're losing. And so that's a testament to him being head coach and being able to keep the building together and all the guys focused on what's important. I think that's important.
So she is aware that the Texans are losing. There's one last tidbit I wanted to get to from yesterday's DeMeco Ryans press conference, and we'll get to it in just a second. On YouTube at Paul Gallant, Twitch at Gallant Says, Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports, Instagram at Sports Gallant, TikTok at
Good morning.
Gallant says as well. One last thing that I wanted to get to in DeMeco Ryan's press conference yesterday, an important update that I think we need the answers for. I'm taking my hat off just for a second.
I think about a few weeks ago, Nick Caserio said that you all would have a better idea on Joe Mixon. Do you have an update? I know he was at the game yesterday. Do you have an update on where he is?
I do not.
Does Dalton have a...
Where's Joe Mixon? Where is he? Where's Joe? Where's Joe Mixon?
Anyway, DeMeco Ryan's provided us with no update there on Joe Mixon, who I think at this point it's time to accept is not coming back before the end of the year. It's not happening. It's not happening. So sorry about that. I suppose if you are looking for positives for the Texans going forward, though, we do have this. Did anyone see what the Texans were doing? They were putting 6 offensive linemen out on the field a lot of the game. And it worked. Worked pretty well, in fact. Weeks 1 through 7, the Texans featured 6 offensive linemen on 30 snaps. Week 8, they did it on 26 snaps, and it included gains of 50 yards, 44 yards, 23 yards, and 17 yards. A pass protection plan with extra bodies, which you would think would theoretically help out in the run game. And in an NFL where everyone's getting smaller and faster, maybe mauling works. It's working for the Eagles, that's for damn sure. So maybe the Texans have stumbled into something. And while I do not like the idea of rotating between Juice Scruggs and Laken Tomlinson at left guard, I can certainly get behind this. For sure. More Texans tidbits. I mean, when you're the 30th ranked offensive lineman in pass block, win rate, and run block, win rate, this is what you got to do. So adapt, baby. Interesting post brought up by my old coworker, Jeremy Branham from NFL.com. Did anyone see this? Hear about this? See this? Hear about this? NFL.com lists the Texans as the team that deserves the most grace. Quote, number 1 of teams deserving grace. The best reason to give the Texans time is recency bias. They have won the last 2 AFC South titles. Their head coach, DeMeco Ryans, is smart and resourceful and immediately turned this team into a contender upon his arrival in 2023. That defense also is still flush with talent and nasty intentions, which is something the Texans could count on last year when quarterback C.J. Stroud was dealing with the sophomore slump. The Houston offense remains a work in progress, but Sunday's win over San Francisco was impressive. Stroud passed for 318 yards and 2 touchdowns and took full advantage of the kind of consistent pass protection that hasn't been so present over the last couple of years. They did have 6 offensive linemen on the field a lot. If the Texans can see more of that production in the second half of the year, they'll be in contention for a playoff spot. Let's also remember this team started 0-3 because it was playing good teams. Lost to the Rams by 5, the Bucks by 1, the Jaguars by 7. Houston's 4 losses have come by a combined 21 points. That tells you things can change in a hurry for this team. The AFC South's better than advertised, with the Colts having the best record, Jacksonville ranking among the most improved. That said, the Texans are reigning champs of this division for a reason. They have enough talent and time to remind people of why that is. They deserve a little bit of grace, and maybe they deserve a little bit of positivity. And again, if DeMeco Ryans wants a Bobo Bard, I can be that guy. We might do a bard singing the praises and the songs of DeMeco Ryans after every single Texans game. Every single one. We've also got some good news for the Texans game against the Denver Broncos on Sunday. Patrick Surtain, who is arguably the best cornerback in the NFL, is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with a pectoral injury. Gotta watch what you're benching, bro. Gotta watch. I say that as a man with large tits, but like formed tits. Man boobs. Moobs, if you will. I've got nice bajongas upstairs. It's because I did when I was in college. I did this bench press machine. I had broken my wrist early on my freshman year, and I never really lifted. So every single day, I would bench press, and I would go up 1 pound on this thing. So I started off at, I think, like 45, and I eventually got up to, on a machine, so it doesn't matter, but 205. And from that point forward, then I actually started bench pressing and stuff. But I stopped doing it every single day. It just helped make them abnormally large doing it every single day in college. So there you go. What do we got here? Space Plum stopping by with a lot of ADD thoughts. Fire Deion Sanders now. Broncos are going to annihilate the Texans. Anyway, this channel totally sucks. Well, Space Plum, I've got a message for you. You can suck on my balls.
I don't like that kind of thing.
Get the fuck out of here. Get out. You're not wanted. Fuck you. But on a serious note, you can stay if you want. Okay? Thank you for your takes on Broncos and Colorado football. Thank you. We appreciate it. Best of luck with Sean Payton. Best of luck with Bo Nix. But you can suck on my balls. Anyway, what else do we have here? Big balls, by the way. So I'm told. Do we want to talk about last night? Do we want to talk about last night? About last night. Monday Night Football. Oh, speaking of things that'll piss off Space Plum, you know how the Chiefs fuck the Broncos sideways pretty much every time that they face one another? Well, Chiefs kept doing that. Last night, slow burner of a Monday Night Football game. It was 7-7 at halftime. Patrick Mahomes had interceptions on back-to-back possessions. But, second half, Chiefs ran away with it. There's a lot of talent on the Chiefs' offense. A lot of fast guys. I don't know if anyone saw that play where Xavier Worthy caught it on the left sideline and ran all the way back across the field to the right for a first down. Or some of the things that Rashee Rice was doing out there now that he's back on the field. But Mahomes has a lot to work with. And they're inevitable again. And it's the best team in the NFL. The defense is really good. And even in a game where they looked like, honestly, shit in the first half, because of those 2 interceptions back-to-back, you play a team like the Commanders, who are quarterbacked by Marcus Mariota, who's going to go 0 for 2 on fourth downs. You're going to win that game just about every single time. But Chiefs are good. Still, their demise was greatly exaggerated. We had another bad Patrick Mahomes roughing the passer call where a Commanders defender grabbed Mahomes and tossed him, but I don't think there was intent behind it. I was watching it on the Manning cast, and I think everyone on the Manning cast thought that the flag got picked up. Nope, it didn't. It didn't. But hey, if you think that the NFL is rigged for the Chiefs, there also was a moment where Rashee Rice was trying to toss a ball to a referee, and the Commanders player walked in between him and the referee, and the ball hit him in the head, and then tried to get in Rice's face. But Rice, who's now mature, after his, Fast and Furious era, now that he's mature, you might have seen him after the fact getting up and picking the football up, pushing the Commander to the side, and actually giving the ball to the referee. He did not do that intentionally. It was accidental. So that is worth wearing a #free Rashee t-shirt. Not, I don't know, when Rashee Rice goes Grand Theft Auto Dallas and nearly kills a couple of people and then leaves the scene of the crime. As far as Laramie Tunsil is concerned, Laramie Tunsil missed 15 plays with a hamstring injury. And I get that the Commanders are without Jaden Daniels, and this season seems to be getting away from Washington. But they brought in Tunsil to be a leader, I think. And I think, while Tunsil having a hamstring injury and missing time, that's not his fault. But the way this season has gone for the Commanders is a lot like last season for the Texans, except for the Texans actually did win games. It's a little bit different. C. Adams 93 says that game was boring and that Dan Quinn is going to be fired next year. Could be. We'll see. It seems like their ownership is a little more patient than in years past. What other things do we have to talk about? Oh, the baseball game. Holy shit, that game. Whoa. 18 innings. Freddie Freeman walked it off with a home run. 6 hours and 39 minutes. Did you stay up for the entirety of that? I did. But I'm not going to lie, the intensity of playoff baseball did not do a great job of keeping me awake. I was lying down on my couch, nodding off for a couple of pitches at a time, then waking up, then nodding off. It was a great game. There were some awesome things that happened, whether it was Shohei Ohtani or Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Some really impressive defense, not so impressive base running by the Toronto Blue Jays, but 6 hours and 39 minutes. Playoff baseball. The stakes are high. And I know a lot of people out there are probably like, I'm so relieved I didn't have to watch the Astros do that last night. It was a lot less stressful for me, but I don't know. Here's a thought. This might piss off the baseball crowd. Is it time for extra base ghost runners in the World Series? Might be. Because, I mean, tonight's game's ruined, right? Ruined. Absolutely ruined. It seemed like Dodgers fans left this game early, too. And gotta say, that's pretty soft of Dodgers fans. It would be one thing if it was 2 a.m. on the East Coast, but it's a World Series game. I can't even imagine how expensive it would to get to that game. Traffic out of the stadium is going to be a bitch anyway. You're really leaving that game early? And I saw Dodgers fans making excuses. Oh, these people are going back to the club level to get food. Or, oh, well, you know, this is, you got to get home. The traffic in LA, it's crazy. But it's a fucking World Series game. You're leaving in the middle of it? Like, that crowd towards the end was largely empty. And I get it. LA doesn't really give a shit about sports. Like, they care more about the Astros cheating scandal than they do about their favorite baseball team. But you can't leave a World Series game early. You can't. I was hoping that Clayton Kershaw's last appearance as a Dodger would have been blowing that game. He came in with 2 outs in the bottom of the 12th, and he did get an out. But I thought when Kershaw came in, oh, yeah, Blue Jays are going to run away with this one. Alas, earwax. Now, there was a moment in this game that we got to talk about just from a Houston perspective. George Springer swung a bat, seemed to pull something, and immediately went to the clubhouse, and I imagine he's going to be out for the series. Dodgers fans cheered to the point where Fox actually acknowledged it on the broadcast and said, what are we doing here? It has been a very weird World Series for George Springer. I'm actually going to talk about this on a show over the next couple of days with Ross Bolin from the Banging the Can podcast, Oyster Clams and Cockles podcast. It's pretty insane the amount of angry energy directed specifically at George Springer these playoffs, no? First by Mariners fans, and now by Dodgers fans. He was accused of using an Apple Watch to steal signs during last night's game. Unironically, not by a troll account, by the same team that employs somebody who was part of an Apple Watch sign-stealing scandal that also was busted. This person, Mookie Betts, also admitted that, yeah, the Red Sox did it, and that everyone in baseball was doing it at the time. Pretty crazy, no? That Dodgers fans are accusing George Springer of using an Apple Watch when Mookie Betts did in the past. So Springer's been booed all series. He was booed all series against the Mariners, and Mariners fans are still in on it too. There was a very dorky post by an account called Trident True, I think. Trident True posted the following. I don't know if it's still up. As long as there is breath in my lungs, I will always boo the people that tarnish the game I love. Which is ironic because I think Jorge Polanco, he got popped for PEDs. They had Robinson Cano. I don't know. I mean, if you act high and mighty, people are going to try to bring you down to their level. This is just a natural human action because those who act high and mighty generally fucking suck, right? I don't think Astros fans should necessarily act high and mighty. I think you should just rub it in people's faces that the Astros got away with it. But it's been weird, the discourse online as it relates to George Springer, which Mariners fans are still in on, as are Dodgers fans, of course. Mariners fans are really putting up, I'm fine, I'm fine energy. And listen, I like Mariners fans, but there's some really dorky, unoriginal posts by a couple of Seattle-based sports radio people. Here's one of them. 2:52 a.m. in Toronto. Those poor bastards who stayed up only to see their team lose. Another one. It doesn't get our ALCS back, but it's nice to know Jays fans stayed up till 3 a.m. to watch that jack. Like, these are the victories you're taking right now? These are the victories. All right. It's weird the way that Mariners media has operated. For those who aren't the biggest fans of Chandler Rome, by the way, did you know that Chandler Rome clapped at one of the douchiest folks who have talked about George Springer from Seattle? This guy, Aaron Levine, who was on, I think, Fox in Seattle. He still is. I was always annoyed that he was on TV because I thought I was hotter than him. And yeah, Paul sometimes has mean girl mentality here, but he posted this. Well, if you're going to hit anyone with a fastball, Chandler responded to this person saying, "What a disgrace you are." Chandler was defending the wall there, guys. Might not like Chandler, but every now and then he defends the wall. I guess Levine is on Jeopardy or something right now. And Levine actually responded to this with like the all-time shitty apology. Anyone that knows me should also realize that I never wish a bad injury on anyone. No one knows you, sir, when a post like this blows up. If it had been in his head, I never would have said it. I hope he's able to come back. But that doesn't take away the knee-jerk thought, and I said it out loud. I'm not the only one who had it. Yeah, I'm not the only one who had it. What if it had hit him in the head? There would be some people who would have had that knee-jerk thought. You're telling us you wouldn't have had the thought there? Anyway, fuck you, whatever. More from last night's 13-hour Major League Baseball game. Why the fuck does anyone throw to Shohei Ohtani? It was insane that the Blue Jays threw to Ohtani up 1. And, of course, first pitch, home run. Ohtani, 4 for 4 last night with 2 homers and 2 doubles. Why the fuck are you pitching to him? The guy deserves the Bonds treatment. Walk him every time. Walk him with the fucking bases loaded in a tie game in the bottom of the 9th, even if it loses you the game. Like, there's no reason to ever throw to Shohei Ohtani. He reached base 9 times last night after all the intentional walks started. You know, all the gambling stuff off the field. I know there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there when it comes to that, but fuck, the guy's good. He's so good. I guess he does speak English, by the way. I saw a report about Ohtani talking with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. during this World Series. Quote, "We just talk about family or maybe situations happening in the game." In English, he's always trying to get me to smile. I do the same thing to him. I try. It's just normal. He's a great guy. Isn't it kind of weird how many baseball players, and I guess it's not weird. I guess it's very understandable, but there's a lot of baseball players, more than in football and in basketball. And I guess there's a lot of English speakers in football and in basketball. But in baseball, there is a lot of players from other countries who speak through an interpreter and never seem to put in the effort to publicly speaking English. And I know that's going to sound xenophobic. That's not the intent. It's interesting that you can shield yourself with the idea that you need an interpreter when you're getting asked tough questions. You could say Framber Valdez does that to an extent. You think Framber doesn't understand any English, having been with the Astros as long as he's been, or Yordan Alvarez, or Shohei Ohtani with the interpreter gambling scandal? The guy can speak English. The guy does understand English, and then he uses the interpreter as a meat shield there. Interesting, in my opinion. Other thoughts from the game. The Blue Jays biffed a couple of base running attempts. That's the reason they probably lost. The last one, oh my God, they were out by a mile. And it's a shame because Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was doing some cool stuff. He had that impressive play on a ball where he scooped it and he throws it over to third base to gun a guy down, and then he ran all the way from second to home. He's not the fastest guy in the world. Baseball decided to post a highlight of the umpire fucking up what seemed to be a ball 4 that was actually called a strike for the first out of the game. Ended up Bo Bichette getting caught off base. Major League Baseball posted this for some reason. I wonder how the umpires union feels about that, given that baseball games, if you're at one live, they almost never show replays because they don't want to throw umpires under the bus. More about last night. The Rockets won easily. The Nets stink. I don't know how much stock you put into the Rockets' first win of the year, but it was nice to see them do what they did. The Nets, they're really bad. If the 49ers were banged up, what does that make the Nets? They're god-awful. The Rockets have their picks, apparently, for next year. I do have a question about what the fuck happened here. Did anyone see this replay? There was a moment in last night's game where 21 on the Nets dives for a loose ball. And as he comes up, what the hell came out of his nose? What the fuck was that? One more time, enhance, in case you didn't see it. I thought, let's just watch the entirety of this. First off, he dives for the ball, misses it, face plant, snot comes out of his nose, and it's like a big old snot, and just drops on the court. Ugh, gross. I thought it was a tooth at first. A lot going on that one. Also, some are making a lot out of this moment where after Ime Udoka called a timeout, Amen Thompson seemed to crash out, as the kids say, which is freak out. In case you've never seen that, here is the replay of this moment. Amen's running the point, seems to be calling for a screen. He calls for the screen a second time, a third time. Screen's slow. Calls for it a fourth time. Finally comes. Udoka calls a timeout. Thompson slams the ball. Walks straight to the bench. And Udoka talks to both the big guys and to Tari Eason, not to Amen Thompson in that situation. This Rockets offense is going to be a process without Fred VanVleet out there. But if Amen Thompson is calling for something, these guys got to actually listen, you know? What else is going down? Terrible Take Tuesday. Let's do that segment really quick. Was this a terrible take back in the day by Hunter S. Thompson? I don't know how many people saw this. @Historian posted this. Yesterday, in 2004, October 27th, Hunter S. Thompson wrote, quote, "Houston is a cruel, crazy town on a filthy river in East Texas with no zoning laws and a culture of sex, money, and violence." Oh. It's a shabby, sprawling metropolis ruled by brazen women, crooked cops, and super rich pansexual cowboys. Oh, that sounds like me. Who live by the code of the West, which can mean just about anything you needed to mean in a pinch. Interesting. Is that true? Or is that a terrible take? Terrible Take Tuesday. Anytime Scott Woodward has a take on who you should hire as your next college football coach, don't listen. I did not know that he was behind the massive buyout for Jimbo Fisher in the same way he was behind the buyout for Brian Kelly at LSU. Good for that guy getting a job after the Jimbo Fisher situation. My question, does he get a cut? I'd honestly be disappointed in him if he doesn't get a cut of these buyouts. More terrible take Tuesday. Did anyone see what Celtics player Jaylen Brown had to say about the gambling scandal that the NBA finds itself at the center of? On this terrible take Tuesday, here is Jaylen Brown. I got to unmute it. Hang on a second. Hang on a second, everybody.
Feeling about the gambling climate around sports? Like, what are your feelings just around, that?
Me personally, I think, that whole world was introduced a couple years ago, and I don't think they took players into consideration, especially with, the energy and the behavior that goes around, gambling and how that directly correlates with players. We don't benefit from any of the profits or anything like that. But
Jaylen, you're making almost $50 million a year. Yeah, you fucking do, dude. Come on. I'm a big Jaylen Brown fan. This is a stupid take. Come on. There's more interest in the sport because sports gambling is legalized, which is directly correlated to the bigger and bigger salaries that players are going to get. Gambling drives sports interest. There's a lot of woe is me that comes from athletes and sometimes NFL players who are fighting their hardest just to get 3 years in the league and get a pension, or baseball players making as little as they make with all the games that they play and how much time they spend away from their family. Okay, I can understand it a little bit. Basketball players make an ungodly amount of money. And there's a lot of this woe is me. Dennis Schroeder, the trade deadline's like slavery. Shut the fuck up. I like you, Jaylen Brown. I trust you. But rough week for him between that and the whole trying to dribble by OG Anunoby. I probably butchered his name. And there's a big black streak of his hair seemingly came off on him. More terrible take Tuesday. This isn't a terrible take, actually. I kind of just like this. This is what I want my football analysis to be like. But this was an all-time moment on the NFL on Fox, featuring America's Unk. This is what the kids say these days. Terry Bradshaw.
But the thing that I would worry about more so in Washington is the other day I text Andy Reid, and I got a text back. And I thought it was Andy Reid, but it was some guy selling pigs. But I sounded good. I should have told y'all that, so y'all would have thought I actually talked to Andy Reid, but I didn't really talk to Andy Reid.
I wish you could see the people behind
Look at Strahan's face there. It's just incredible. Absolutely incredible. So that's one take from NFL coverage this week. The other one I wanted to get to is, did anyone see this just very bizarre Cam Newton take the other day? He is saying absolutely nothing here. Let me look this up as quickly as I can. I thought I had it in front of me. But this man says absolutely nothing here. Because Cam Newton isn't happy with Damian Woody saying Drake May's the best deep ball passer in the NFL right now. Statistically, that might be the case. I think we've talked about it on this show before that Sam Darnold's actually the best deep ball thrower in the NFL this year. We're talking about like historic numbers. Cam Newton responded, and can anyone tell me what the fuck he's talking about here?
Liar! And I'm going to tell you why. You just said, you fixed your lips to say, you allowed this to come out of your mouth. You even thought this first to say, he's the best deep ball thrower in the NFL.
Yeah, the numbers bear it out.
This is what hold on. I can talk now. Stephen Anthony, as the executive producer and a very high decision maker of First Take as a whole. Maria Josetta, just step aside real quick, sweetie pie, because this has nothing to do with you. Stephen Anthony, you keep allowing people to come on this show and to have diarrhea at the mouth by just saying.
Speaking of, what's this?
Certain things that are just not true. You're a liar. You're a liar. And I'm going to tell you why. Am I a fan of Drake May? Absolutely. But one thing that you have to understand, and you know this more than anybody, Damon Dakari Woody. In order to be the best, you have to do what? Beat the best.
Which Drake May did.
And in this case, you did it once.
Which Cam acknowledges.
But to beat the best, you have to do this twice because they're in your... Now, Drake May, you have to stand up and stand on business. Put your big toes east and west. Cement your heels to the ground and stand on...
What the fuck are you talking about?
...business. And I don't think that they have what it takes to dethrone the Buffalo Bills.
The hat is not helping him here.
I'm sorry. Did they stand on business when they went up to Buffalo and beat Josh Allen head to head?
Twice.
When Drake May when Drake May stood on business in Buffalo and took care of business.
Thank you, Damian Woody, for trying to clean that situation up. I mean, Jesus Christ, Cam. I get really frustrated with some of the great athletes who come on TV, and Cam was a great athlete, especially at college. Did take the Panthers to a Super Bowl, won an MVP, but there's some guys who you can tell they just show up, and like I feel like if you're saying after all of that 30 seconds of filibuster, eventually that like you got to beat the best, and technically Drake May did beat the best in a one-on-one, if we're looking at football through that lens, against Josh Allen. Like when it's like 30 seconds just to submarine your argument, and along the way you're just saying people's middle names while you're maybe trying to think of something to actually say. I think there's a lot of athletes that don't really think about the substance of what they're saying. Instead of they're thinking about their stupid fucking hats. That hat is so goddamn dumb. It's so distracting. I like, listen, I get it. You're different. You have the fashion, and you have the different hieroglyphics fonts on social media and stuff, and you're one of the best quarterbacks that played college football. But what in the actual fuck are you talking about there, bro? What are you talking about? Terrible Take Tuesday continues. It's terrible time. Poor Carson Wentz. I don't think any of us knew that Carson Wentz was dealing with this, and this is perhaps a blight upon the NFL industrial complex that no one got this out. But Carson Wentz had a dislocation that tore his labrum and fractured the socket, and he played on a short week, and I guess 2.5 more games. Oh, I guess this London game was actually 2.5 weeks ago. Carson Wentz played 2.5 games with a stabilizing brace while waiting for J.J. McCarthy to recover with this injury. And if you were watching Thursday Night Football, Kirk Herbstreit, who I think does not belong at the National Football League level calling a game, Kirk Herbstreit's out there. And for once, actually being critical of an NFL player instead of glad handling him, and drops this doozy of a take that has aged very, very poorly and merits an apology. And I know Kirk Herbstreit doesn't apologize for much. He sicks his fucking dog on everyone. But it would be nice if Kirk would apologize for this bullshit that he pulled on Carson Wentz on national TV.
To me, when you're the captain of the ship, you're the quarterback, you got to try to hold some of that emotion in. And I know he's frustrated. And he's hurt. But it's week 7. You know, there's a long way to go, and I think
his shoulder's basically broken there, okay? So he kept going there, too. There's a long way to go. Even Al Michaels was a little bit defensive of him there. So that's the last one. Terrible Take Tuesday. Terrible Time Tuesday. Ed Oliver is going to have surgery on a torn biceps. Cougs legend. That's a bad development for the Buffalo Bills, who did curb stomp the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. Adrian Peterson got arrested in Sugar Land yesterday. He is facing charges of driving while intoxicated and unlawful carrying of a weapon. Was taken into custody around 9:30. 9:30 in the morning? Sunday morning. Driving while intoxicated. Wow. Earlier this year, he was arrested in Minnesota for driving while impaired. 83 in a 55 mile per hour zone with a 0.14 blood alcohol level. 2022, he was removed from a plane after reportedly verbally and physically assaulting his wife. There is the 2014 misdemeanor charge of reckless assaults for using a wooden switch on his son. It has been a rough time for Adrian Peterson off the field. Multiple DUIs over the course of a year. Come on, bro. Terrible time Tuesday. How about the Mike McCoy Tennessee Titans? Anyone see this moment with Cam Ward and Mike McCoy? There was a moment, and we talked about this briefly in passing during the Houston Texans post-game live stream that I did. I called this cowardly. Look at Cam Ward after a 4th and 4 situation on the Colts side of the field where the Titans should have gone for it. Look at Cam Ward getting on Mike McCoy's ass. Let's go for it, Mike. Let's go for it. If you're a lip reader, you can see that there. Everyone on the Titans is having a tough time. I think on one of the Jonathan Taylor touchdowns, it was called out, the lack of effort on the Titans defense to make a tackle. Terrible time. How about Jamar Chase? Maybe the Bengals trade him. Trey Hendrickson looks like he's going to be out for some time. So the Bengals, who, after all that hope from the Joe Flacco win, now look like their season is once again toast. Here is Jamar Chase being asked about the Bengals defense on Sunday after the Bengals lost to Justin Fields and the Jets.
Run game was tremendous today. Did a lot of running the ball. Up front did good. Running backs did good too.
Did you sense that the Jets were a desperate team considering the record? That they were a desperate team with their winless record?
Don't matter about a record. Got to go out there and play. Don't matter about a record.
How disappointed is the entire team to come up short today?
We just lost, bro.
Jamar, Zach said he's looking for guys to step up as leaders in the defense. How much of that is on you as a leader in this room to kind of surge that charge or help the defense find leaders?
I think my job. I play offense, not defense.
How frustrating is it for you to see the defense give up 39 points?
It's pretty frustrating. But offense still need to capitalize again.
Do you feel like as an offense you're doing all you can do when you score that many points in a game like this?
No, we left stuff out there.
This offense last year at a lot of times scored a lot of points, Jamar, and lost games. You're kind of back here again. What needs to change in here?
I don't know exactly.
Seems like Zach Taylor might be getting fired at the end of the year. Terrible time. Tuesday wraps up with the Bengals had a players-only meeting yesterday. So there you go. Let's roll through some comments before we get out of here. Josh the Greatest says Cam Newton hates on the Patriots because he claims he never got a full opportunity in New England. Ray Alejandro says about sports gambling just introduced a few years ago. It's been around forever. Legalized, though, in the last couple of years. Do-do-do-do-wop, shibbly-dee-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-wop. Lots of takes on the Twitch, lots of takes on the YouTube side of things. We appreciate y'all for joining. We really do. Nicholas Melchor 3038 says the media is exposing how much of a fraud DeMeco is. Fraud, I think, is a strong word to say. I think that he is inconsistent with his messaging and with what he does. And by the way, lots of people are like that. Lots of people are. I think he's got to work on it. I got a kick out of yesterday's press conference. I hope you did as well. That will wrap up today's edition of the Gallant Says podcast. I appreciate everybody stopping by. If you want to watch this thing in its entirety, the best way to do it is on YouTube. Look for Paul Gallant. Subscribe to my channel, then watch the live stream. But you can also do it on Twitch. You can give me a follow on Twitch if you're more of a Twitcher. Subs are appreciated, but a follow is enough. On X, at Gallant Says Pod to watch live. Instagram, at Sports Gallant. TikTok, at Gallant Says. You'll see a lot of clips from the show on both of those two. And you can also watch it on Facebook if you like going to that hellscape still. Facebook, at Paul Gallant Sports. The podcast is available after the fact wherever you get your podcasts, Apple and on Spotify. Subscribe, rate, and review. Until tomorrow at noon Central Time, so long, farewell.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain.
And have